Welcome back, everybody, to SpeedCon 2021. Apologies for the inconvenience and for the long wait. Thank you for sticking with us, everybody. As I have mentioned already, but in case you haven't heard yet, we needed to replace the scheduled run with a Final Fantasy I randomizer in the Defeat Chaos category by Edgeworth. Due to technical difficulties, we had to shift runs. However, fear not, because this one is going to be an absolute treat to watch. And with that said, I'm going to give it away to Edgeworth. Here you go.
Hi, everybody. Glad to be showing you the latest version of the Final Fantasy Randomizer. Wish it could be under, a little bit better circumstances, but we just switched things up a bit. Instead of me on the couch, I'll be running, and then Trenton, glad to have you doing commentary alongside me.
We haven't gotten to do this in a while. I was looking forward to chilling with you for a bit here anyways, and we still get to enjoy some Final Fantasy 1, even if not quite what I was hoping to do. I blame the time loop. Clearly, my internet upload speed is just stuck there.
So if you're not familiar with Final Fantasy Randomizer, it is a very, very customizable randomizer. You have the usual assortment of randomizer things, shuffled magic, shuffled treasure chest, shuffled enemy abilities, stats, but there's a whole lot more that you can do with it, and I'm hoping to show off some of that. For example, at the start, I haven't chosen my last character yet because I wanted to show you that each character can roll bonuses or penalties at the start. So it actually makes sense to, before you even begin the run, go through the characters and see who's going to be overpowered today. So a fighter with 40 agility is going to be able to run from a lot of things. So I can afford to, pick a party that's maybe a little slower at running away. The thief has 20 agility, the black belt has 20 extra magic defense, the red mage has fighter strength, so he's going to hit like a truck as well. Might be a good saber caster. The white mage has black belt vitality, 600 health white mage, always nice. And then the black mage has thief luck, so that'll be pretty good in avoiding ambushes, provided I want to put the black mage in the front row, which you never want to do.
They're kind of squishy up there. They're one of the lowest HP growth, and that it will be a thing you often see in runs where their HP is quite low. The white mage is going to have so much HP that's going to be fantastic against high-level spells and things like that.
Alright, so I think I'm about ready to start. Trenton, you want to give us a countdown?
Oh, sure. How about let's do it all in 3, 2, 1, go.
So, as usual, you start outside in Canaria, and it's important to check out the item shops. Now, I will point out, what are these dashes and pluses? Well, we've got bonus weapons and cursed weapons. So, the iron stick that you see here is actually pretty nice. It rolled a little bit high. These caps are also pretty amazing. That's 4 defense, which against imps and skeletons, pretty solid. We've got life that's white mage learnable, and we have ice 3 for the mages, so I'm just going to pick up ice 3 right now. It's always good to have an early AoE spell. And then I'm going to check out the shop here to see if we have tents for sale. We don't. We have a cabin. That's good enough.
We also had that Quad X for sale, which is great for low-level bosses and occasionally clearing out certain enemies that we want to. That silver sword that was for sale is actually the best weapon that is for sale in terms of base stats, but it's pretty expensive right now. Edge can't afford it this early, but the Ice 3 is going to let him clear out basically all the riffraff encounters that he would get this early. And other than that, it's good to have a weapon to be able to swing at stuff. Temple of Fiends, it has 3 treasure chests available and a boss available right away with Garland guarding the princess. Had a little bit of lunch money, as we like to call it. A little bit of starter money is always a nice thing to have. Garland is just a pushover. So, yeah, by Garland.
I tried to heal off some of that damage, but you may also notice some of the graphical changes as well. We have adopted some of the nice aesthetics from Final Fantasy II. So in this flag set, the canoe is free. And since I got a giant pile of money, this would be a good time for me to pick up a number of spells. So, Trenton, you want to take us through what that Quad X spell does?
Well, Quad X is an insta-death spell. It'll work on most enemies in the game. As long as their HP is low enough, it will just kill them. And the randomizer will let you play with that a little bit, but for general purposes, 300 HP is your cutoff for that. Brack is a poison elemental, which is very handy because it doesn't care how much HP that your enemy has. And there's a couple of fun bosses that works on, which is a fun thing I was going to take advantage of in the Black Mage run that unfortunately wasn't me. But we still get to see it, so that's great. Also, those gold bracelets for sale and rolling up are great. That's going to be the best mage armor, but expensive stuff, so it's something he'll have to come back to later. As for what is randomized, important to note that the stuff we got from the King and the Princess was actually randomized to Cube and Slab, as I recall. So your NPC items are shuffled, what's for sale is for shuffled, spells, what's for sale is for shuffled, but also the enemy stuff is shuffled. So these imps, who normally just do weak attacks, could actually get a spell, and as I like to summarize it, do you want imps with nuke? Because that's how you get imps with nuke.
Yeah, it certainly is fun when you run into just a lone weak enemy that just wipes out your party, but that's what happens when you have ability shuffle on.
Also, in order to make sure all the seeds are quote-unquote completable, in the sense that a status effect can't block you, it is programmed for the game to always sell antidotes and soft potions at Corneria. Meanwhile, Edge found a Masamune, which unfortunately rolled a -4, but it's still going to be far and away the best mage weapon that he's going to find, because anyone can equip it, and definitely a lot better than that Iron +1 staff.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that I find something a little bit better. Maybe one of the other endgame weapons that rolled a +5, but sometimes that's what you get.
So, for example, a Vorpal +1 would then be significantly superior to that Masamune -4, and it's just one of the things you have to know at least some relative strength information when you use that flag to make sure you're using something that is helpful. You spoke of using Saber earlier. That'll boost the attack power of the user. Warp is a spell that will take him back to the previous floor, and you get to make some good use of that in the randomizer. Base game, you can't use it without class change. With access to it, though, you can do some fun stuff.
So, I didn't quite check if Safe Pirates was on, so we're gonna save beforehand, because the last thing you want to see is pirates with nuke.
Well, I mean, as long as you can get a spell off, it doesn't matter. It's just attempts. But yeah, you don't want to wipe out all your progress so far just to have that happen. First tournament of Final Fantasy Randomizer we had actually kind of got decided by the pirates.
Thunder Pirates. Legendary.
Yep. It was a very shocking experience. Come to think that you and I were on the call for that, weren't we?
I think so.
Pro Ring is also great because it's an armor that anyone can equip, and it's very good, plus protects against death attacks. there is one NPC, not NPC, but one of the NPC items is a vendor item for sale. Edge saw that there in Crystal. We're in the right part of the world for it, but maybe not quite enough money right now.
Yep. So this is what we're gonna do.
Oh, we're going Peninsula Power. I wondered if you'd turn in the adamant first, and check the boxes. But this is the more sure thing. Peninsula Power, this is completely vanilla, and I believe available in all versions of the game. There's this little stretch of land up here where it's got the encounters from the overworld. And real quickly, what Edge did there was called a power cycle, and he power cycles the NES. It goes back to as if you turned off the power and turned it back on again. That's what I'm talking about. And it gives him the very first encounter that he could get. So it looked to be in a spot where he wasn't getting encounters. He went back for something faster and got the 4 wyverns from it.
Yeah, unfortunately they're not so lucrative. So we're looking for four giants, or maybe the zombies. Those are the ones that are carrying cash.
Zombies with Ice 3 wouldn't be great though, so
I
kind of gotta hope for the giants.
Yeah, I do have harm, so.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, there was Harm 3 for sale. I just didn't see you get it.
Oh no.
Edge is very much on Team Tyro. So am I. I never kill a Tyro. Edge is betraying all his principles today.
I'm a victim of
They are, however,
circumstance.
decently lucrative in experience. So yeah, the Peninsula Power, it has the higher level enemies that you would encounter in the northern continent, and you can get a lot done here pretty quickly.
So, unfortunately, I just am not making enough money on that trip.
Well, this is the downside. The randomizer giveth and the randomizer taketh away. If you're not familiar with the mechanics of the NES Final Fantasy, every encounter that you could get is predictable. You can know exactly when I'll get this encounter after this many steps, and you can plan an entire run off of that, which is something that happens in the speedrun. In the randomizer, in order to prevent people from just doing that all day, it shuffles around what order you get the enemies and the number of steps until you get the enemy.
Alright, so let's try something crazy here. We're gonna go to Crescent Lake.
I like it. So Crescent Lake also has higher level enemies, but it has different higher level enemies, so he could still get things like the Peds. He could also swing into a couple of dungeons right now with the Ice Cave and the Volcano. Meanwhile, the rivers are also higher level stuff, so there's money to be had here, and it's just on the way. And you want to do as much on the way as you can. Crescent Lake, of course, one of the higher level towns, and we have access to the sages there who give a free item, usually, depending on the flag settings you do. In the base game, you could get over here, but they wouldn't give you the canoe until after you had defeated Lich. Some people didn't realize it. Others try to break the game as much as they can and learn that as a kid.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy for as often as this game gets speedrun, there are no major sequence breaks.
You know, if you're thinking in terms of that, you can see where Nasir left his fingerprints of kind of some foolproof stuff. Like there's several locations that are still Mystic Key locked long after you should have the Mystic Key. Like, it doesn't make sense logically that they would even do that. but I'm of the opinion he did some of that in order to prevent sequence breaking. And also, I have theories that several revisions of the game occurred where they were going to do stuff in different order and whatnot. Herb opens up another interesting possibility because that can wake up the prince. You have the ability to do a lot of early stuff.
Yes.
It's just the trap sinks without the ship or the floater.
So, you mentioned dipping into dungeons early. I would prefer not to revisit Elfland once I go there for the first time, until I have the airship. So, what I'm going to try to do is take a quick dip into Volcano and grab some of the chests in the top floor, and also fight some of the enemies. I'm hoping that having lots of Ice 3 charges will carry me through this.
Edge was able to gain a lot of early levels from those attempts at getting money. So he's actually very reasonably leveled to do this right now. Mainly because he does have all those Ice 3s and he can just spam them against enemies, and that's going to kill most of what he sees here.
So you may wonder why I walk on all of the damage tiles. It's primarily because they don't advance the encounter table when I walk on them. So I'm taking damage, but I'm also getting into far less fights. And I feel like I've already been rewarded. That flame plus 3 is pretty great.
Flame armor is pretty strong. It's about as good as you're doing pre-class change. And plus you get the ice elemental resistances, and once you can start throwing a few elemental resistances it adds a lot of durability. In an ideal world, you have a ribbon. In a second ideal world, you're able to stack flame armor with an ice shield or ice shield with the flame armor and get a lot of resistance going that way.
Yeah, and so it seems like an appropriate place to find all of these, though, right? The flame armor and the flame shield in a volcano.
I mean, pretty vanilla. I was curious that you didn't check the trap tiles, though.
So right now, the flag setting for this is the B-side trap tiles. And what we mean by B-side is there is a completely different set of monsters that you can encounter on them. And some of the encounter groups are extremely scary, especially for someone who only has Ice 3 as their major damage dealing spell. So if I were to run into, say, 6 to 9 badmen, that's probably it for my dive. And I really didn't want to go through that again.
The thing about opening these boxes early is sometimes you'll get stuff that you can sell for really good money. But we've got a minute till we see the prince here. Well, I don't think we have any host updates right now, so we'll stick with what we got. Fire 3 is great for diversity. It's obviously another AoE that kills stuff, but uses the opposite elemental, fire being the preferred one for undead. And Invis 2 is a strong defensive spell that will raise the evasion of the entire party. Meanwhile, the Fade spell is holy, as it would be called in later versions of Final Fantasy. So it is a damage-dealing white magic spell. And we've got Lightning 3 to complete the elemental sweep, but Fade will actually do better than any of them because it is non-elemental.
So you may be wondering, like, hey, I needed all of this money. Why am I spending all of it? And that's because we're gonna go to Marsh Cave next.
Which is a terrible, awful place that no one wants to be.
Scratch that.
That's a good reason to scratch things. The floater gives Edge access to the airship as long as he can get to the desert, which with the canoe, he is able to. So as soon as he cashes this in, he has complete access to the entire world. except for some limited dungeon stuff, like not being able to get into Mirage Tower or the Sea Shrine because we don't have the required items.
Yeah, so the Crescent Lake play paying off pretty big.
Well, it's the direction you were going to have to end up going anyways. The only alternative could have been if you somehow got a ship.
Yeah, that's true. If I were to run into ship and canal in the middle sections, that would have been bad.
We're just going to be doing some exploring here for a little bit. Do you have any host updates you'd like to jump in with?
I sure do, actually. We have received a $5 anonymous donation saying, "Hey, I'm just an anonymous donor here. I've got a lot of time to watch this marathon after getting laid off from my job at the keyboard factory. I've heard rumors that Final Fantasy is such an insane game that even sleeping can be very intense. Is that true?" Thank you
Only
very
when
much
you're
for
on a
the
canoe.
I know exactly who that is. Thank you very much.
Also, he found the tale from Sarda. Sarda would normally not give you his item until after you defeated the vampire, but that's another option enabled by the randomizer, and it gives class change. So now all the with class change, which has access to. Not gonna check any boxes there for money.
Not at the moment, because I wanted to check this dungeon out first.
Okay. So we're in the Marsh Cave. This is normally terrible in the vanilla game, and it's normally worse in Randomizer. The biggest thing that happens to us in the Randomizer is there is a lot of different enemies. And while that may not sound like much, what it means is when you're doing script shuffle, you've got more different enemies eligible to roll nasty stuff. So it's always questionable whether or not you're going to survive.
Well, they're doing a pretty good job of trying to take us out here. So I'm kind of glad that I have the levels and the equipment that I do.
Level-wise for Marsh Cave, Edge is actually a couple ahead of where you're more intended to be. Of course, hey, there's the canal.
Yeah, so that would have
found the road and not the herb.
That would have been bait for sure. So this is kind of a dicey fight. We'll see if I can do it.
Well, the good news is Ice 3 is the right element for gas dragons, and it's going to be a big question of how much HP they rolled and if they're going to do anything really nasty. However, this is one of the worst vanilla enemy attacks that there is in their damage poison. So Randomizer is always going to, almost always going to make them easier. And they're actually a really great amount of experience. I've semi-jokingly referred to them as the enemy that broke the experience scale. Randomizer loves to give you bonus experience. It's not required that you turn it on, but most people will. And when that happens, it turns out that 4 gas dragons will give you too much experience and it would overflow the entire experience scale. So they had to rework the entire thing in order to make that work. That Bane Sword is a great red mage weapon right now.
It's actually quite good for the knight as well. The base crit on the Bane Sword is a little bit higher. So that's basically like, I would say maybe equivalent to a Vorpal +1.
Okay. The base damage numbers aren't going to be comparable to the Boss Immune, but it is going to really roll up on its hit rate, and it is one of the better crit rate weapons. And we actually have some money for supplies. thanks to that dungeon diving.
Yeah, the chests were disappointing, but the green dragons were delicious.
Yeah, I'm almost surprised you didn't go back for another one when they didn't do anything.
I kind of didn't want to push my luck. If I was a little bit lower level, I would have given it a shot. But I had no guarantee that they just weren't hiding what they were doing.
Well, Crown is normally something you would have gotten in the Marsh Cave, so we've reversed the order here a little bit.
Ah, looks like he has the power gauntlet.
That's a very fun little utility thing. It casts Saber on the user, so it can be very good for raising your attack power against a difficult boss. But it is not a progression thing, which right now we need the Chime and the Axiale and the Mystic Key, I believe, for Go Mode.
Yep. So, some of the quote-unquote optional dungeons may be of interest here. So I'm going to take a look at ordeals and maybe pick a few fights along the way. The experience in this region is pretty nice.
Fun fact, it's actually slower to get to ordeals by air than it is by sea. But we do what we have to do. Do you want to do any host updates again while we're walking?
I can certainly do that, yes. I would like to remind everybody that while you're watching this Randomizer run, we are raising funds for Save the Children here at SpeedCon. If you want to donate, you can click the donate button below the stream window or just type !donate in chat. Save the Children is an amazing charity organization. We've been supporting them, I think, since the very first SpeedCon event, even when it wasn't called SpeedCon. And there are still a few donation incentives open that you can donate towards if you want to do that.
I think our next upcoming one on the schedule is a name incentive for Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide, so you could control the Destiny. What is their names going to be?
That is actually correct. Currently, Atma is at #1 with $13, and Edge W is following with $5. So everything is still possible. Get them donations in to change that to your liking.
If anyone had donated something runner's choice, I was going to say FF1 is better. Alright, Edge is working on the pillar maze. In the vanilla game, you know exactly which pillars will lead you to the staircase. In Randomizer, you have to figure it out, but you can use the warp spell to go back to the last pillar if you find out that it wasn't the one you wanted, and use that to navigate through here pretty quickly. Again, one of the nice things about having it in Randomizer, and you don't need class change to learn warp. But in the vanilla game, you had to come here to get class change.
Yeah, I apologize about the host volume. That's on my end, so should be fixed now. Again, apologies for that.
Little test, is it fixed, chat, or am I still silent?
That sounded pretty good. Now, Agabus would normally look very inviting with Ice 3, but these look to be pretty tanky, so I don't think we're going to do anything more here.
Ooh.
Ribbon is great because it is resistance from all elemental attacks. So it is something Edge is quite happy to get, and that's a very fortunate pickup to find the Chime here loose. And well, let's see, is this an incentivized dungeon? You just didn't know which treasure it would be in?
Yeah, so that's one of the newer features is they actually will tell you kind of the rough location of where the item you're looking for is, but they won't tell you exactly where it is.
That is actually one of my surprisingly favorite new features. Because it still keeps you going in the right direction of the dungeon, but now it's puts some rewards in for exploring again. And that's also going to make the average runs better because you're going to get more gear with all that exploration.
Alright, well, this fight is terrifying, but fortunately we got the lead cast.
A lot of vampires, they can potentially hit pretty hard, but Fire 3 is usually enough to dispatch with them pretty easily. And also a benefit of coming here is a good deal of experience was achieved, so we're up to mid-game levels here. What dungeon are you thinking about next?
So we do have some options for sure. I could take a quick dip into the bottom of Mirage while I'm here, since I have the chime, and I think I might do that. I can also turn the slab in as well.
You have the cube as well, don't you?
Oh, I do have the cube. Yeah, we can definitely finish that all out. Let me go turn the slab in then real fast.
Alright, turning in the slab lets him learn the language of Lefane, and then he is able to get another item from there. Let me promo real fast that Elastoid is coming up after this run with a Shadow Run any percent. He's been putting a lot of effort into that, and is very much trying to set a world record for this marathon. So, always fun when you can throw world records into a marathon as well. And he's going to give it a shot.
Yeah, I definitely recommend you stick around for that one. There's no bias on my side. Nope, none at all.
Says the... Oh my gosh. Oh, apparently I'm wrong. That's his other run. Aiden is what he's trying to hold record.
Aiden Chronicle.
Okay.
So I'm
Level 5 is nice. It's non-elemental, just gonna blast everything in its path.
Yeah, so I'm pretty happy that I've run into what I have at this point. Let me thin the inventory out here a little bit.
Like, realistically, the only spell we don't have right now is Life 2. Like, there's only other weird ones that can be particularly useful, like Ruse Night Learnable can be a great thing, but for general purposes, I mean, we have gotten everything you could ask for, and they've been spread out over different levels so that you're not fighting for the same MP. It's been pretty nice to us.
You mentioned one of those gold bracelets. They're pretty nice. Hard to turn down at this point.
Now, they're far and away going to be the best mage armor at +4. The only thing they won't give you is any kind of elemental resistance. But in terms of absorb, they're quite good. And at +4, that's going to be better than the Opal Bracelet, which in the vanilla game would be the best that they could get.
So right now, our next trip is going to be to Lefane. Now that we speak the language, we can get the key item that's there.
Which is also a good reminder to me of be careful of thinking of go mode too early, because we didn't think of the rod.
Yep. And it is entirely possible that that ends up being one of the last items that we find as well. So
Yeah, that's going to be required to be able to defeat one of the 4 fiends. It's just something you almost take for granted that it's going to come pretty early. But there's our Oxyale, so that is one of the pieces we definitely needed. You doing Mirage next?
so what I think I'm gonna do is, now that I have the Oxyel, I'm going to do Waterfall and yeah, let's do Waterfall and Sea Shrine next.
Alright, so that's going to give us a couple of minutes of travel if you want to hop in here again. Or I could talk about how wonderful the Elastoid run is going to be if you'd like. I could even mention that Canucks run will be fun. Destiny of an Empire, he's been working on that a lot. It's an interesting looking game that I didn't even know was on the NES until I saw Canucks running it.
So I am running a little low on camping gear, so I'm going to pick some more up, and I also need another stack of heal potions. But we're going to check Waterfall first, because we may find something in Waterfall that will help us through the significantly larger Sea Shrine. And if we don't, we at least got some levels out of it.
It's always nice to be able to do Waterfall when you've got Warp or Exit to get out of there faster.
So here we have Nightmares. They're very evasive, but they also hate ice very much. And don't try to instant kill them. They don't like that either.
On PSP, they're one of the most annoying enemies because when stats matter, they are an obnoxiously high agility. So it's not until you have the very end game gear that it's reasonably safe to run away from them.
Yeah, and I mean, especially when you're doing your solo character runs too, you have a lot of agility boosting gear on that black mage or red mage, and it's still just not enough.
Now you still resort to killing most stuff because you don't have as many people to run away. The numbers are your best weapon in terms of trying to run. It's also some decent experience stuff when you're killing those mud golems, and there's the, on occasion, whiz mummy like this that's a good source of experience. Ideally, you'll see like 3 or 4 of them in the encounter, and that's a really tasty amount of experience. I take it Waterfall is incentivized, by the way, or just the robot?
Yeah, just the robot.
And no out-of-bounds bats, so many Final Fantasy I fans are sad. Out-of-bounds bat has grown to be very famous because he's one of very few bats that will never get in your way in a speed run. He's the only one you see that will never get in your way, so he's very beloved for not getting in your way.
Did not realize our red mage still had wood armor on. That's not good.
I had a refresh there. What did Robot give?
The robot gave the TNT.
Okay, so that opens up another turn-in check for us with Narek. Probably would like to have the Mystic Key before going there.
Yeah, then you could pick up those 8 chests and not feel too bad about it. I may pick them up anyway, just to be on the safe side.
Of course, it always could be the Mystic Key.
Oh, wow, that is very expensive temper. Alright, so, since I need money as well, I think I'm going to check the right side of Sea Shrine first.
Home to the mermaids. Kobe was just chilling up there to the top of the screen, you may have noticed. And, again, one of the quality of life things that have been added with the Randomizer is to keep some of those NPCs that might block you from walking, getting in the way. and it just anchors them so that they don't move around and they don't stand in one gap paths, which is really annoying. And because it's RNG, if you're racing a randomizer, it's pretty unfair.
It looks like these Gersharks rolled a lot of HP, and so the stats can roll anywhere from 100 to 2, or I think it's 50 to 200% of their value. And so Gersharks, when they roll towards the high end of their value, they can get around 600 plus HP very easily.
This dungeon is one that is very flooded, if you will, with the unrunnable enemies in the base game. Which enemies are unrunnable have been shuffled around as well. We haven't seen too much of that tonight, but it still gives you a bunch of not nice encounters with the waters, the ghosts, and Zagans are just always unpleasant.
So far, no dice. I have a few more chests to check, though. Oop.
Normally, that northeastern or westernmost room would be where you would get the slab, which enables you to get the chime. But the treasure boxes moving around is one of the first things they did in the randomizer. Thank you, Entroper. I always like to thank Entroper when doing one of these.
Yeah, the dev team puts so much work into this, they're a very nice group as well. But like shout outs to Nitz, Tartapan, Wildham, Meridian, Septimus. There are a lot of folks that worked on this, and I'm just scratching the surface. But not only is the community pretty good to new players, but also to new developers as well. If you have an idea that you want to try out, just run it by them.
Yeah, and the randomizer itself is actually open source code. Anybody can read it. It's not hidden. It's available. You can read it. They won't let anyone just push an update right away. It has to go through a process, but if you're into your old-fashioned coding, you can look it all up, see it for yourself. Zat, while we're exploring, you want to jump in and say anything? I think I took all his fun away and he's mad at me. Or he's caught in a time loop and we have freedom from it.
Well, right side was correct.
What a place to find that, too. Because I mentioned there's some weird doors that are key locked, and of course you just exited right out without checking it, ruining my fun.
Yeah, so that reverse C room on that floor is also Mystic Key locked. So there was a very, very small chance that the item that I needed to progress would have been in that room. And if it was, I would have had to come back here, probably after checking everything else in the game. These guys are not so fun. Let's just get out of here. It looks like there's some Discord issues, so we'll try to get that resolved.
Well,
Hello?
Discord is Discord sometimes. Do we have a Zet?
Yeah, I had issues with my headphones. I apologize. So, do I see correctly that you were asking if there's anything to say?
Yeah, you can say stuff.
That is great because I have something to say right here. In the meantime, we did receive another donation. Once again, an anonymous $5 donation saying, "Wow, I'm really enjoying this run of Final Fantasy Randomizer by Edgeworth. If I want to see Edgeworth run more Final Fantasy Randomizer, is there somewhere I can go? Are there any upcoming events where Edgeworth might be playing Final Fantasy Randomizer that I could tune in and watch and root for Edgeworth to win at Final Fantasy Randomizer?" I don't know. Let him go.
I just, what can we say but the old line, follow the runners, right, Trenton?
Sure. That's a good place to start. There's also a tournament coming up. So, Final Fantasy is a good game to follow on Twitch. If you didn't know this, you can follow games the same way you follow runners, and then just look under there and see it. So, not only is there the spring tournament coming up for the Randomizer, but the PSP version of Final Fantasy 1 has gotten a lot of love lately because the any percent route has just changed, and the world record there has dropped by 4 minutes in like the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, there is just a lot of fun to be had for the running this game. Basically, whatever version you want to run, there's always something interesting to do. The NES version, a little bit more, I would say, hardcore, but I love the PSP version as a nice casual speed run, and you can make it as casual or as difficult as you want.
And then, even in the last year, the NES version has gotten seriously revisited as F. Coughlin, who's well known for his work in randomizers, completely broke the game and human-tasted it, basically. And hopefully there'll be a chance to see that in marathons before too long. Because I realize that's a strange description of it, but when you see the run, it makes perfect sense. Alright, so we have a key. We're able to get places and do stuff. We've got the Chime and Cube Mirage Towers on the table. We've got the TNT, which means there's a turn-in available at Narek.
And you mentioned, wanting that key before checking, doing the Narek check, and that's kind of exactly what I'm up to right now. What I'm hoping is, in those 8 key lock chests, I find a fair amount of gold. But also, Canaria Locked is also incentivized, so that's a good place to start, is just turn in everything over here.
And that's not a far trip from here either.
Yeah, the best part is I can swing back to Canaria and pick up hopefully a couple more gold bracelets, and then the sort of the chest piece armor is going to be perfect for everyone.
Speedrunning this game has made me hate wolves, and then you give them heat. That's just bad.
Well, there you go. You mentioned it. We needed the rod, and there it is.
And not go mode?
Let's see. I need the loot.
Loot. Good point. That would enable us to do everything now except complete Temple of Fiends Revisited. Which, since that's the final dungeon, is kind of an important thing. But if it's key locked in Canaria, then we are in go mode. And importantly, I don't think there's many things left you can check.
Yeah, I'm having trouble picking up armor to even sell.
The bottle releases the ferry. The ferry gives us one more item. Do we have any incentive dungeons left?
Let's see here. We have Ice Cave.
Okay.
But Ice Cave might be the ship. So I kinda hoping not.
So one of those 50-50-80 things?
Oh yeah. Yeah. But I have to...
One versus the other, so there's an 80% chance it's going to go wrong.
Let's see, we have Opal Shield on the White Mage. And we have a heal helmet on the White Mage, and that's not quite enough. So Weapons department.
That's a nice price that they'll offer you on a couple of things.
Yeah, I do want to hang on to them though, unfortunately. So yeah. Sky seems like the safest bet, I would say. So.
Well, very first, right?
Yep. Yeah, we can take care of a lot of open business in that area. So it's always nice to be able to group together objectives in a randomizer. And sort of that
ferry being very close in proximity to the Mirage Tower. Anytime you can reduce your overworld travel, it's just free time save.
Okay, so it looks like yeah, it looks like I missed the pro rings at a different shop, but that's okay. Maybe I'll find the white
I
shirt.
assume it was at Melmond.
Yeah. Oop. Oop. Hey, there's the white shirt. Alright, cool.
That would not be a key item we were looking for.
It's fairly nice to have, though. So we can definitely do that. Invis 2 is fairly useful. And now...
Also in terms of base armor value, it's equivalent to the gold bracelet, so when you're one short on your mages, it's a potential way of shuffling that around.
Yeah, the other benefit is it also prevents instant death as well. I still don't want to move the ribbon off of the... or death element attack, excuse me. I still don't want to move the ribbon off the white mage, because the white mage is the only person that knows the life spell right now, so... I'm kind of hoping that I don't run into a lot of nasty bosses in Temple of Fiends. But we'll see.
And by that, of course, you mean you're going to see all bosses, but we want them to not be particularly nasty, although... That's a subjective thing. They're designed to still be final bosses. And still challenge us.
Hangry, how dare you?
Yeah, Hangry rooting for Kraken 2, who is basically the biggest physical attacker of the game, typically.
So, of note, there are a lot of bugs that were in the base game that were fixed by the randomizer. The most notable is that Temper actually works. Saber actually works, so the Power Gauntlet is a wonderful, wonderful piece of gear right now.
As far as enemies here, they're okay for experience. It can be a potential place to make some stuff up, but without too much dedicated effort, Edge has been able to consistently raise his levels. He's not end game ready yet, but it's getting a whole lot closer, and just been able to do that along the way.
Yeah, I feel like I would be more end game ready if I had better, a stronger weapon, let's say. I can certainly finish the game with the Masmian -4, the Bane Sword +5. It is not as comfortable as, say, an Excal +5.
Yeah, and another ribbon would be highly preferred.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Basically, gear will let you reduce the levels you need. You can get away with a lot more inferior equipment when you have a lot higher level. Or a black belt.
Yeah, I was thinking about bringing a black belt. The reason why I didn't the extra 40 agility on the fighter seemed to be pretty nice for running away from things, and since we don't know exactly what chest items are, I anticipated running into some fairly good equipment. And it just happened to run into it fairly early.
Yes, we're going to have a little more walking here if you want to say anything, Zet. I need to give him a heads up before I just throw it at him like that.
No worries. Sure thing. I can actually wanted to talk about the charity that we are raising funds towards. Because as you know, when you click on the donate button below the stream or type !to donate in the chat, you get sent to a page where you can donate towards Save the Children. This is an organization that we've been raising money for since the very first SpeedCon, before it was even named SpeedCon. It's an amazing organization, and their 3 goals that they want to make sure by 2030 is that no child should die from preventable causes, all children should have access to a quality basic education, and no child should be a victim of violence. And I think these are very good goals to set. Just a little info on the organization itself. The Save the Children has worked worldwide for over 100 years and in 120 countries to give children a future in that time, impacting the lives of over 1 billion, with a B, children. In 2019 alone, they reached 144 million children through their comprehensive programming and emergency response. So you can see they really do their best to help children out all over the world who need help. And we at SpeedCon want to raise money for this wonderful organization. So if you can afford it, chip in $1. It means the world to us and the children.
I'll also tack on to that, the Charity Navigator has given Save the Children one of the very best scores that you can get. So they put a very high percentage of the money raised right back into their work. Some green Medusas in a big pack. They're a very nice amount of experience. Just a couple, not so much. The defense sword Edge picked up, it's noteworthy because it casts ruse, but in terms of damage, what's even more noteworthy is we just found a Vorpal +2 somewhere where Cleosis is thinking, and I'll say it on his behalf, that's a game changer.
Yeah, so the interesting thing with the Vorpal sword is the crit rate is sky high. So it seems appropriate that I find it in Sky Palace. More importantly, though, with +2, it's even higher. So when you combine that with casting fast, casting temper, the fighter or knight can get a lot of work done with that.
Yeah, and with the Masmune rolling down, if Masmune rolls down 1 and Vorpal rolls up 1, the average damage of the Vorpal will actually exceed the Masmune in most cases.
I've got the spreadsheets to prove it.
Well, yeah, that's been done, but also it's only a thing in the randomizer because it doubles the crit rate, which widens the gap on that front of Vorpal to Masmune, so... There's a lot of rabbit holes you can go down with statistics in this game. Last was saying you don't do spreadsheets on Twitch. No, he does them on Discord. But I always say you don't do math while live on Twitch because it will always betray you. A lot of slimes. And that's pretty much going to solve any question of levels.
Yeah, unless Tiamat has something pretty awful. We have yet to see it. I was just checking to see if I had Zap available. I don't, so we'll take the nuclear option instead.
It's good from outer space. It's the only way to be sure. One of the big reasons that you ever worry about the level with the knight is how many swings that he can get. And I think you have to get to 26 to pretty much cap out your swings with the Vorpal.
So the Vorpal, you have a lot of room for improvement. I know you can get another swing with vanilla Vorpal. You can get another swing at 35. But with +2, I think we're pretty good where we're at right now.
And every time you add a swing, just think of it being that much more damage. So if it's 3 swings and you make it 4, well, then it's another hit of damage. If each one's hitting for 100 damage, that's another 100 damage.
I'm trying very hard to conserve my Fade and Nuke charges because they are far and away more effective against Tiamat.
Edge, do I have to remind you what spell you have?
No, what spell do I have?
Brack.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I mean, unless it hits like it did in one of your practice runs.
I did have one where I went like 0 for 7 and I hadn't fully healed my MP. But generally speaking, Brack's gonna work like 1 out of 5 times.
Alright, so the developers have an interesting sense of humor. They decided that, you know, rather than playing an instrument, Princess Sarah is interested in poetry. So I have a haiku that I can read now to defeat the enemy.
And with that, we are officially in Go Mode!
Wow, look at all the giant money chests are in here, too.
Well, especially the humor of the game that it gives you the money after it gives you the last gold bracelet you needed, so you don't need the money anymore.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know, maybe I can go get Life 2 at level 8.
Alright, so we are about to reach the Bridge of Destiny, which of course means there is the option for Warmech to show up. Chat, we need some hype for Warmech. Plus RNG, hype, whatever you got. We're coming up on Warmech territory.
Oh,
It won't come unless you summon it. So it's all on you, chat.
Oh, don't do this to me. Yo, let's go! Yeah!
Alright, chat, you were warned. You had your opportunity, but you just didn't hold up your end of the bargain.
I cannot tell you how uncommon that is. How absurdly lucky that was.
That is one of the highest encounter rate zones of the game. Kadak is saying there's still a chance, and he is technically correct. Not great RNG from the Brax. So the main advantage of Brack is that it does not care how much HP the boss has. When it works, it just works. But it has to actually connect.
I swear it works.
That's just the way it goes sometimes, especially if Tia's magic defense rolled up. That could be causing the odds to lower a little bit.
Oh, well, soon I won't have any other choice.
Well, with all the chip damage at this point, Quad X might work.
Alright. One more shot. Hey, there it goes. See, I told you it would work.
We promised! I bet you he was low enough for Quad X to work anyways.
Oh, almost certainly.
So let's see, we got Volcano next.
Volcano or Earth, yeah, either one.
Yeah. That, I am going to slowly and deliberately stretch out this sentence to ask if you would like to chime in with anything.
Thank you very much for this long and stretched sentence to ask me to chime in. Well, we do have, in the upcoming runs throughout the next days that this event takes place, some donation incentives and bid wars going on. The next one that is on our list is you can choose a character name for Final Fantasy VI with the maximum of 7 characters. Currently we have Atma at $13 and HW at $5. And if you want to see the Yakuza Ishin Any Percent minigame showcase, which I totally can recommend to watch because it's amazing, that one sits at 31 out of $100. So just shy of a third. Still a few runs to go there, but don't try to snipe any incentives because you never know when they actually close. And of course the entrance randomizer donation incentive for the Skyward Sword randomizer. I mean, you're watching a randomizer right now, and we're gonna have another randomizer later today that is Skyward Sword ran by Floha. If you wanna have him to enjoy or maybe hate his stay a little more, then you can donate towards this very entrance randomizer incentive, currently at $20 out of 75. A lot more incentives in the upcoming days, of course, but we should focus on the immediate next runs first to get them. I mean, we all wanna get more action out of the games and have all the players, endure a little more pain, I guess. So get the donations in for that. Thank you.
Alright, we have Carry Our Fiend of Fire and Fight. Now, we're very high level for this fight. Like in the vanilla game, they intended you to be maybe up to the teens and not have anything as OP as the Vorpal. So with that, Edge has one last dungeon to deal with before going to the final dungeon. This is the Earth Cave, and we will of course have a vampire sighting. This place notorious for bats getting in your way more than anything. And Edge has demonstrated the NPC guillotine option a few times now. But, we didn't specifically highlight it. So you can talk to one of those bats in your way, and it goes away. We make it an offer it can't refuse.
Yeah. How about you go bug Trenton during his FF1 PSP runs?
They've been known to do that.
But yeah, there is a lot of nasty stuff on this third floor in vanilla Final Fantasy. So the randomizer, I would say, arguably makes it easier. But there's also a large diversity of enemies down here as well. So it gives and it takes away, but for the most part, you don't get paralyzed nearly as often down here.
No, although apparently those mummies had a lot more in their script availability than we were seeing earlier.
Yeah, they were definitely spellcast happy this time around. And hey, there they are again. I was just curious.
What happens with the script shuffle is it's the same number of stuff out there in the world, but it's just moving around to different enemies. So there's a lot of unpleasantness, like damage poison from the green dragons, thunder from the blue dragons. Plenty of things like that that can just wreck you, especially in early to mid game. Bye, Vampire. And the other thing that Edge has been doing is just selectively opening chests. He's not going out of his way, and he's not taking trap tile fights to get them. So it's just looking for easy stuff that maybe gives them that last ribbon.
Yeah, that last ribbon would definitely be helpful. So I might, poke around a little bit in the inner sea to see if I can find one. But I'm not going to spend too much time.
Let's see. I guess we've not done key-locked Elfland or Northwest.
Yeah, that's really about it that you can get fairly quickly.
Yeah, everything else would be through dungeons and stuff. Alright, Lich is just a speed bump to us.
Yeah, not nearly as scary as he is in the vanilla runs, although you routed in dragon armor, so he's not even that scary anymore for you.
You know what? I've actually changed the now, and I do the all agility setup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're getting ready for the final dungeon entrance here. Once in there, there's a lot of variance in how long it takes based on what enemies do. So it's hard to say, but it's usually not that bad if you're able to get through the first time. If you're not able to get through the first time, then that means there's probably something that's really going to be a roadblock. But right now, our biggest concern is not having the extra ribbon. Canuck suggested the key-locked Temple of Fiends. You think you'll do that?
The only problem is those tiles are blocked by enemies, so let's just give it a shot, huh?
Fair enough, and there's a few places you could go if, for whatever reason, you find it necessary. You can't guillotine these bats because their dialogue changes. They go from saying key to, well, they say stuff after you have all 4 orbs.
Yeah, the exposition bats, so they have plot armor.
NPC guillotine only works on any NPC that only has one line of dialogue. I don't even know you anymore. There of all places.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing there. Are we sure we didn't go 65 million years into the past?
Maybe we did. Well, some poetry breaks the evil gate, and thus we are able to continue on to the Temple of Fiends. Once you get past these first couple of floors, you get into the elemental floors where the Fiends Revisited are. We're going to have to fight Lich 2 through Tiamat 2, and then our final boss. Notably, their scripts are all shuffled among each other. So there's still 4 nuclears, 3 nukes out there because Warmech's in the pool as well. So these tend to be enemies that you still need to respect. So Zed, we are on our way to Lich here, and this is another good time to jump in with anything you'd like.
Yeah, sure thing. I wanted to tell the viewers that remember you are watching SpeedCon, duh. And if you're enjoying what you're seeing, then I really want to encourage you to share this event on your social media with your friends and family. Show them what cool events you watch. And if you want to see or hear more about SpeedCon, you can always, check out the YouTube channel. All of the run VODs of this event and past events are uploaded there. And don't forget to, subscribe to the channel and ring the bell. And you can also, find us on Twitter. We are at speedcon_EU. So, get some connection towards SpeedCon, and share the event with everybody. And don't forget to donate if you can afford it, because that really helps out for a great cause. Thank you.
All right, here we are against the first of the Fiends Revisited. This is Lich, noted in the vanilla game for having Nuke that he likes to open with and cast. We got past him without that happening, so ends up being just a speed bump, but it's one of those things. He almost certainly has something. We just didn't see it the first time, and that's where you're hoping that, you know, he's got the 3 nukes and you just never saw them.
Alright, that is about as far as I'll go for a ribbon.
Yeah, there's another treasure chest on that floor, but it's a very significantly long walk. Carrie is the Fiend of Fire. Our foe of flame. And again, we're not quite seeing the nastiness come out yet from any of these fiends. That can be a good sign, that can be a bad sign. But plenty of damage coming out, so they're not getting that many turns to get into it. Briefly, let me just say that there's 3 things, well, technically 4, that any of these bosses can do. They can physically attack, they can choose to use a spell, they can choose to use an ability, or as weird as this one sounds, they can actually run away. They're not likely going to run away, but they could. So if they're choosing the physical, then we're not seeing the spell list or the ability list, and that's where all the nasty stuff is. I say that right before he gets to Kraken, who is known for having nasty physical attack.
Alright, so fairly good turn order.
Also, the wall is basically like casting ribbon for a single fight. Nuclear does come out. That is borrowed from Warmech's pool, so it's kind of like we still got a Warmech this run. And Edge will want very much for one of his mages to survive to be able to cast life. And right now, you're probably really glad about having that extra HP on the white mage.
Yeah. Yeah, so far it's working out.
Also, fun fact about Cure 4 is that it cures status impairments that can be cured in battle. So stun ends up going away because he cast Cure 4, and that was just a happy coincidence. Unfortunately, the damage rolls are not going well here. And also, unfortunately, Edge is down to just the Knight now.
Yeah, this is it's a little dicey. So, gonna have to go all in on crits, I think.
It is the right weapon for that, and also he does have Power Gauntlet and Defense Sword, so there are still ways of beating the bosses, just not great ones.
Can we do anything else better? No. Okay.
I'd put Power Gauntlet and Defense into the 1 slots respectively.
Ah.
Just because that helps cut down on menuing. And yeah, you got the heal stick there.
Yeah, we might want to do this too for the next floor. Okay.
So, you never want to give up on a run just because you're down to the 1 light warrior. There's still a chance. Also, we saw a couple of the nastiest things that any of the fiends could have there with that Kraken. So now, Tiamat. As the ribbon for the magic defense, 3 uses of the defense sword will maximize the evade of the fighter. You may not even need that much, but it helps. And then the saber is upping the attack power and accuracy, so when he swings, it should hit for a lot of damage. 300 is respectable.
Yikes. Oh.
Well, until that nuke, Tia was doing all elemental stuff for little chip damage, but unfortunately, Inferno was 1 HP too many.
Yeah, this has definitely been quite rude. So, how can we rearrange this a little bit better? I think we may have to go all offense on Kraken. I would feel a lot better about the Tiamat fight if if we were able to have a few turns.
Two people, Tiamat would be killed before he ever got to nuke because he had like 6 spells in front of it. He does have that nuke, but it is deep in the list, and that's significant because in this game they are going down a list. So when he decides to cast a spell, he's going to cast whatever the first one on that list is. I think that was Ice 3.
Yeah.
Then he has to choose to roll a spell again, and he's going to do the second spell, and maybe that was Lightning. And then he's going to do a third spell. So he has to roll spells each time to increment to get to that nuke. So as long as Edge is able to get back there with basically anyone else, which would be everyone else, then he'll be able to do enough damage that he shouldn't see that nuke again. And that's some of the adjustments you have to make.
Yeah, I was trying to save heal 3 charges, but now that I know there's no guarantee of me making it, I might as well just use them.
Yeah, and again, we also don't know if Lich is packing something nasty that we just didn't see the first time.
Does not have very much HP, though, so should be alright.
I think as the base, all the fiends have like 200 HP more than they did the first time around.
Yeah, and they tend to roll higher with the settings that I'm currently running as well.
So with the randomizer, stats are being randomized through a range. So you know what that range is, and you can figure out the high end and the low end, but you don't necessarily know where you are until you've actually gotten through your boss. And a reminder that Lastoid is coming up with a fun run after this, with a Shadow Run. So, worth checking out, folks, I'm just saying.
So if I remember correctly, the Knight was not doing very much damage at the start of the Kraken fight, so...
It seemed like the Absorb was pretty high. I think the hits were getting there, but the Absorb was just high.
So, what can we do for this? Let's slide that up there. And then Black Mage. Okay. Let's get a little bit of invisibility protection going here.
Solid play. So it would take 6 casts of Invis to be able to maximize your evade. But considering you did 1 and he only hit once, that's a pretty good sign. You do have lock.
Yeah, I guess the thing that I want to do is make sure the White Mage makes it through.
Yeah, that is the recovery.
But I think we're pretty good to just start going all offense at this point. I'll throw a heal 3 on it.
In fact, I don't think that this Kraken actually had that much HP, considering the damage rolls were never that great.
Yeah, this is a much kinder pattern too.
It was actually nuclear before, so that was an ability. The fire spells and stuff we're seeing are spells, so that's why there's a significant difference. And Quad X, when it works, it just works.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Let's see here. So, now that I'm not on my last legs, let's, Canuck wanted to see the vanilla Masmium chest. Let's take a trip.
Sure. So, of course, this would be where you would pick up the best weapon in the game, vanilla, and it's just more of a meme in Randomizer, because you're probably set by the time you get here. Those worms would be unrunnable vanilla, and they're also an incredible source of experience. But Chad, if you want to root for rarities, you want to root for the Iron Galls to show up here. Well, that was money.
Yeah, that was underwhelming, to say the least.
Maybe buy some ice cream with it.
Yeah, that's true. Post-game ice cream.
That sounds like a good idea. I might even have to do that. Except it's actually cold. Well, it's Florida cold. You wouldn't think it's cold. You'd probably throw something at me. Alright, Tiamat!
Alright, take
of course, based
2.
on mythology. A lot of content of this game was borrowed from other sources, shall we say?
Let's do that. And that. And that.
Angry Canuck asks if that's Canada cold. It's more like Canada shorts and barefoot. Alright, so again, a lot more attack power here against Tiamat this time. So we know we're kind of in a damage race because we really don't want to let that nuke get out.
There's also an Inferno coming.
If Soap and Last's HP are up high enough, nuke won't kill them. Except, I think Last could die to a max roll nuke. That's about it. But ideally, we won't get there.
Yeah, there's that, which is pretty bad. Oh no! Alright, well, how do I want to do this now? I'm going to assume you're not going to be casting very much. Or you're not going to be swinging very much. Because if Tiamat just punches me, I'm down anyway.
Yeah, just try the fades and see what happens.
Yeah. Alright, I think that nuke is coming. Yep.
Just a very spell-happy Tiamat. But it should be a long wraparound before we get back to that.
Oof. Wow. So this is a little difficult. So let's go get some more levels and then try it again.
Gas dragons at the Marsh Cave?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we mentioned quite often about the extra ribbon, and that came into play there. Zap is a time element based instant death spell, which I missed the first time around. So casting Wall would have definitely helped out there. But at the same time, I was also falling behind in the healing race, too. So it was just a little difficult of a fight. But we can get this done.
These gas dragons are worth a ton of experience, and Edge very much has the resources to kill them quickly. Like, it's gonna chew through 10 of these fights or something like that in no time. Oh, hey, there's status poison. That's why Marsh Cave is just absolutely awful.
Yeah. I mean, you were mentioning the other poison, but that one's pretty bad too.
When you're higher level, it doesn't succeed very often because of the innate magic defense. Oh, this is even better than I thought. I didn't realize this was the 4.
Yeah, that was the other concern that I had, was this might have been 2 to 4 earlier, and if I rolled 4, I might not have made it out alive. Because they are also quite beefy.
They are. I didn't realize they were that big on the absorb. Of course, weren't attacking so much earlier. For elemental damage, ice is the way to go against them. Of course, non-elemental, fade and nuke or. But that's a fantastic amount of experience. And this is still going to be the best bet just because we don't even know where any other good experience fights are. Especially not ones that are this quick to get to. So, Zet, old buddy, old pal, old friend, would you like to chime in at this point as we're killing some dragons?
I was just about to ask. So, just a general reminder, everybody, that we are raising funds for Save the Children. It's an excellent charity organization. We've been supporting them since the very first SpeedCon. In 2017 that was. It wasn't even called SpeedCon back then. And we like that organization so much that we've been supporting them ever since. They do great work, and I understand that in the current day and age, sometimes having money is not a luxury everybody has, or let's say having money to spare that you can donate towards charity. But fear not, even if you can just chip in one single dollar, just $1 can provide 4 children with treatment against pneumonia, which is, as a matter of fact, a life-threatening illness. So you can already save 4 children's lives with just a single dollar. So if you can spend any of your money towards this amazing cause, then we really, really highly appreciate your support. And we hope that we can raise many more dollars for Save the Children, as we love them so much. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll also tack on that once I'm able to get revenge on my ISP for tonight, I'll do my own run to make up for this and won't be part of the marathon. But after the marathon is over, I'll do that run independently, and we'll see if we can't support the cause after the fact as well. But very thankful Edge was able to step in here, and I got to couch at least with my 0.2 megabits per second upload. And no, that's not a joke. Is that how do I... Oh, you got nukes. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I figured one spin through all of the magic resources, and then we can take another shot at this. But that is a little bit of an example of the variance you can run into in Temple of Fiends. So it's not it is not a given in any seed, and it pays to be prepared.
Yeah, and sometimes that's just knowing backup options like this that you could come back to and get those extra levels easily enough. And there's a lot of fun ahead tonight, so hopefully folks are going to stick around and enjoy. Elastoid's coming up next after this with Shadowrun. Angry Canucks up later on with Destiny of an Emperor. And there's quite a lot going on. There was some Mario 64 ROM hacking going on earlier. Luigi's Mansion happened earlier. Simpsons game co-op looked interesting, but I had to watch on my phone, so I didn't get to see a ton of that. There's Skyward Sword, there's Final Fantasy VI ahead. Twisted Metal, that's going to be all over the place crazy. And just a lot of fun going on here throughout this marathon, so hopefully people are able to enjoy. Alright, level 30 is a lot more durable for our Light Warriors now than we were before.
Yeah, and I do think we've picked up another hit on the Vorpal as well. So, yeah, the HP department is much nicer for all the characters. more gas dragons. It must be a sign.
It looks like they're pretty rare on this floor this time around. They were fairly common here in the NES version. Like, just casual play, you were almost inevitably going to see them multiple times.
Yeah, I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was about 43% for gas dragons, 43% for bad men, and then you had the rest of the group, the fighter mages and all of those, the slimes that you could run into.
And this was definitely the Dungeon of Unrunnables. It had the zombie dragons, the ice giants, the gas dragons, the worms. There's earths, there's flames, there's waters.
Yeah.
And I'm probably forgetting an Unrunnable as I'm listing them.
Let's see, fires on the second floor.
I can say that.
Oh, okay, so you got all the elements then.
Yeah.
The iron gulls?
Iron Gulls are a rare Unrunnable. I did forget one. I said them earlier, though.
Yeah.
And chat, you can still root for them if you like to see rare things.
Yeah, the third tries the charm, right? I'm pinning my demise entirely on Canuck making me check the Mazmune chest.
I think we can actually blame it on your ruthless attack on the Tyros.
Yeah, I guess that's true too.
I came back to get you for it.
I had it coming. And yeah, hopefully I don't spoil any of Elastoid's karma in his next run.
Well, he's not the one who attacked the Tyro.
Yeah, but he's got to deal with plenty of karma.
Yeah, also with the extra levels, there's a few extra spell charges involved, so there's more resources to do this with.
Yeah, so we're kind of going with the going and blasting. Yeah. And you'll probably do the same thing with Kraken after a fast cast.
So water floor, not too bad. Hasn't been too bad tonight. But then there's Kraken. These last three bosses are known in particular for being potential gatekeepers that really can block your game from its finish. All for various reasons, but they have the higher HP. They have the ability to hit very hard, and of course they can roll that nasty spell list that if they're getting it off in the wrong order, it's just a bad time. like the White Mage is having after that hit for over 500 damage. Just, casual Kraken style.
Yeah, so once again, not the most comfortable setup here.
Don't you have life on the Red Mage?
I do not. It was in slot 2.
Oh.
Alright, so I think we just need to go with kind of a speed and power approach to this.
Yeah, the main thing now is Tiamat's going to do a lot of chip damage with these elemental spells, but if there's any possible way to kill Tiamat before that nuke comes out, still be okay.
The Inferno is also real bad.
Yeah, without the ribbons, it's quite the hit. And that one is taken from Chaos's pool. Thunder was showing its strengths as well.
Jeez,
11,000 or 1,100 damage is a very substantial hit.
I am astounded by how high things are rolling against me today.
That's really the difference in not having a second ribbon. It would make a world of difference right now. But the Red Mage gets higher HP, which helps. In this case, the White Mage had more max just because of that bonus roll. But here we go. We've got Chaos.
All right. Well, we've seen all of the bad things, right? Right?
I'll let you think that for now. Last would saying you have Wall, which is a magic ribbon, but the problem with that is it doesn't work against Nuke.
Oh, hey, there it is.
Well, there's 3
okay.
of them available, so that's kind of the issue.
All right. Well, that's unfortunate. Oh, we're certainly showing
Now
off.
we're hoping for a physical happy Chaos. We want Chaos to keep trying to punch against the max evade, and that would be our best bet.
Wow, that's a fair amount. Let's keep going.
800 damage. Chaos starts with 2,000, so max here of 4,000.
Yeah. But hey, we're done.
GG. That's around 3,000, and that did the job. Edge has saved the day.
Yeah. So yeah, things certainly feel a lot different when Nuclear and Nuke show up in the enemy spell rotations. So that can show you just how dangerous Temple of Fiends can be when you shuffle the skills and the abilities. So even though I had a pretty smooth ride through most of the game, Temple of Fiends is by no means a free lunch in any configuration.
Well, we'll take a little bit here to again hype up what's coming up. Blastoid is going to be doing Shadowrun, Anger Canuck following that's going to have Destiny of an Emperor. Then there's Worlds Collide. That's the next open Bid Wars incentive, if people want to bid on the names, and I'm stealing all of Zed's thunder. So, Zed, if you want to say I was right or mention other...
You were absolutely right. I mean, I was glad that you're doing my job right now. I just wanted to round things off because our one and only Zonaris has just chipped in $1 as I had recommended everybody, saying can't donate much since my PayPal account is almost empty and I can't fill it up before the marathon ends. But hey, every dollar counts, and that is correct. Zed said something about $1 can save 4 children. Yes, I did. That sounds pretty worth it to me. Can we get some more $1 donations to save 4 more children? Pog, love you all. And that are some very wise words from Zonaris here. We would absolutely appreciate more $1 donations. I just want to thank this opportunity you guys for making this run happen in such a short notice and getting it together after the technical difficulties. I know that things are live in this event and sometimes things just go wrong, so it's always great if somebody can come up with a replacement run. And I think we all had some fun watching this in a randomizer boss battle. So that was absolutely fantastic of you. So huge shout outs, Edgeworth, and of course Trenton for the commentary to help us out here in this situation.
And if you're thinking you haven't heard enough of Edge's smooth voice, he's sticking around actually.
Yeah, I would highly recommend it. Hang around for a little bit. The next run is also a treat.